Welcome to the Human Frame podcast.
With me, Łucja Hawking.
Today I'm joined by Willow Stone. Willow is a London-based drag performer, model and trans rights activist whose work celebrates self-expression, resilience and the radical power of visibility. Through her performances and creative project, Willow challenges social norms using drag as a form of storytelling and activism. As a proud transgender woman, she uses her platform to advocate for trans rights, body autonomy and community empowerment, blending glamour with grounded honesty. Whether on stage, in front of the camera, or speaking out for equality, Willow's work embodies authenticity, courage, and the joy of being unapologetically yourself.
Period.
I hope you like that.
Wow. You've summed me up fabulously. That's so cool.
Well, I mean, I feel like now I've meeting you so many times on random projects. It's been a pleasure.
I know, it's so funny, the world works in such funny ways. Paths are always crossing, so it's so nice that we can do this now.
It does. But let's start with at the very beginning. So can you tell me a bit about yourself and your journey into drag and performance and what really drew you to that world?
So I've always been such a show off, like ever since I was a kid, like I was such a show off, like literally always wanted to be center of attention, cartwheeling, like backflipping everywhere from as soon as I can do it. And I kind of just always knew that performance was like where I needed to be in kind of any capacity, whether that's like modeling or like actual like dance show performance. It's kind of just where I feel like the safest and the most comfortable, the most at home, the most like secure in myself. So then I used to live in Manchester and my friends in Manchester were performing and I was like, look, I need to be on a stage, like I need to be performing. So I found like a chosen family in Manchester and then it kind of just flung from there.
And when did you first begin to see drag not just as like a performance tool, but also activism and telling your story as well?
I think I'm always really inspired around the people around me. And I think I was surrounded, especially in Manchester, by some incredible like creatives, not even only like drag performers, but creatives who use, I feel like I was raised by trans women of colour and queer people of colour in the North from these working class backgrounds, from a different background to mine. And I was just like kind of thrown into this world where I just felt so comfortable and seen and like at the time felt so safe. And these people were people who might have not necessarily been trans, but from their own cultural experiences and their queer experiences wanted their art to mean something. So I've kind of taken elements of that from what's inspired me to want to create something that isn't just me like backflipping on a stage, which obviously I love to do, but I like to incorporate some sort of queer, especially trans-led like meaningfulness within my work, because then I think that's what is the most vulnerable and the most impactful for audiences and for me putting it on as well.
And what are some of those key inspirations that you take from? Is there any specific people? I know you mentioned people that you were surrounded by. Is there any other aspects as well?
Who has really inspired me? I studied film at university, so a lot of like queer filmmakers and storytellers. I remember watching like Paris is Burning or even like Pose, like seeing these stories that happened not even realistically like that long ago, but happened to like members of like my community like 50 years ago. Seeing that work and how like profound of an impact it's had on me, and kind of like I feel like I'm living the life of that but 50 years later. So I think it's important to really document and put forward like your side of your perspective of the world in kind of whatever medium you decide to make it in. So I think, and I'm still trying to learn that now, just make more art, because that it's like a snapshot in time of where you are in your journey, and I think that's really special. So yeah, I'm inspired a lot by filmmakers and queer film, and then the people that I just see like around me as well.
And also, when you have your performances, what's the process that goes behind that behind the scenes? That's backstage. I don't know why that came to my mind, but behind the scenes.
I think it depends what show I'm doing. So if I've got just like a standard like number, like performance, I always center a lot of my performance around music, because it's the music that makes me like come alive. I'm choosing what I want to perform to, what vibe I'm kind of like feeling, I guess. So I definitely always center around music. If it's more of like a performance piece kind of based around a bit more like theatre-y, I did a piece at Home in Manchester, this amazing theatre venue called Home, with this collective called Solar Flare, and they do a lot of amazing cabaret shows in Manchester and like the Edinburgh Fringe and things like that. An amazing group of queer women, female-led organisation, and they always do amazing cabaret shows. And I did a show at Home, and I didn't want it to just be what I'd done before. I really wanted it to like mean something and be really powerful, and it was kind of centered around like kind of like Greek mythology and very like spiritual kind of tea. And I made like a voiceover of just what it feels like to be like a trans woman right now, and I was kind of like putting on, the stage was like my wardrobe, and I was like putting on outfits and things. So I don't know where my creative practice starts. I think I kind of I think of what I want to say, and then I'm constantly on my phone, and I'm just like always taking in all of this like random crazy pop culture knowledge and random shit. And I feel like I just got stuck on the idea of, my friend was in the BBC series What It Feels Like for a Girl, so I wanted to start with Madonna's song What It Feels Like for a Girl, and then overlap the instrumental version with like my spoken word, speaking about just rambling my thoughts and feelings of how I feel like right now living in 2025 as a trans woman. And then it's all very like impromptu, very like off the cuff. I like plan, but I don't plan too much. I just have like a gut instinct and really go for it. I think that sometimes makes the best art, when you don't even know where you want it to end up, but you've got a gut instinct to do something, and it kind of all works out for the best in the end.
Definitely. And I think, I mean, I've watched snippets of your performances on your social media as well, and you have this like spark in you that's just incredible to watch. No, but it just brings like a joy to watch, and then you feel what people feel on stage, which I think is an incredible perspective. So I think even taking through journeys of how you're feeling and looking at it really does impact audiences, even if you're not even going there to think about more deeper issues, just to enjoy yourself. It still sticks with you. And I also just want to ask you, how has your relationship with performance evolved, maybe from when you first started to now, whether personally or artistically as well?
Yeah, I think I just take it a bit more seriously now. Because I think I understand now the power that it can have for audiences. Like before, I was definitely kind of like doing it for me, and I always get like so nervous. Like I feel like I always try and like not show any sort of like insecurity or like nervousness when I'm on stage, but I always get really nervous like before every single gig, and I always know it's like good nerves. But I'm always way more in my head than I need to be. But initially when I think I started performing, it was always for me. But now I think I've really understood the power of my performance and what that can do for audiences. So now I think I just take more of like a careful consideration to really understand that the audience is there and what my performance can do for them. I think I understand kind of like the meaning behind performance more so than I did when I started, because it was all just for me and my own performativity and things like that. But no, I think now I really understand the power that that performers hold on audiences, and you never know what audience members are going through, and whether your performance that day just brings some sort of joy in their life that they haven't had in however long. So no, I think I just understand like the cultural impact of performance more so now I've been in it for a few years.
And as you mentioned, drag has always been political to some extent, and your work always carries some deep emotional honesty. And as you said, with your most recent, or the one performance you were talking about what it's like to be a trans woman in the UK specifically, what kind of messages or stories or do you hope your performances convey also to people maybe watching or going through similar experiences?
I think I kind of always want to just bring it back to the idea that we're all people and human beings. Like, I am a political person, but only because my existence like forces me to be political. Like, I can't ignore the political landscape of the world because it's directly affecting me and like my friends and other trans people right now. So I haven't got the luxury to not be political. So I think I always want to uphold a lot of like joy and love within my work because I never want it to feel too heavy. But I think I just always want to keep a constant reminder that these are things that we need to be fighting for. I think it's just a lot of trans love is a theme within, especially my piece at home. It was kind of me just spilling it all out of the table. It's like me being on hormones for like a year and kind of me just saying like how that really saved my life this past year and was something that I didn't even necessarily know that I needed until I reached a certain age. And then like look at what this transition has like done for me in such like a gorgeous positive way. So I think there's so much like negativity and like sadness and like heaviness in the world. If I can bring some sort of positive outlook and human response to that, to remind people that this is affecting not just a number of the population or like a statistic, like it's happening to real men and women, trans people. So I think I just want to always hold like a very human reminder of trans love and acceptance and something that can be celebrated rather than feared, I guess.
I think it's really important what you mentioned, the fact that, you know, not being political because you want to be political because you're forced is such an interesting perspective that I feel like resonates to a lot of different communities as well,
Yeah.
whether it's the trans community or refugees or whatever it might be. So I just think that's a really important aspect. I've never heard anyone say it in that way, and I just think I don't know, it's just really impactful in that sense.
Because I guess it's also the people that should really be seeing these stories about these marginalized groups aren't the people actually coming to see it. So it's a hard one because realistically the people that it would actually probably benefit the most to see work featuring disabled, trans, queer, black and brown stories are the ones that are transphobic, racist, misogynistic. Like, they're the ones that it would benefit the most because of this kind of human response that my work and a lot of other works really has, and it would probably change their outlook by engaging with this sort of art. But I don't think they're the ones that are actually coming to the drag shows. But maybe, unfortunately, but I guess that's also a fortunate thing. Do we want them there? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's always two sides to every coin when it
That
comes to,
always is.
which is frustrating because obviously the impact, and then you get decisions like being made, for example, in the Supreme Courts about what was made this year, which is another big tension on, you know, something that was already protective, and then, you know, we're in 2025 and suddenly this massive outcry happened. But there's obviously a tension between self-expression and art as an advocacy, sometimes for it being, I don't know whether you do sometimes see it as pressure to represent something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, you kind of forget that there's always, I think if I'm ever in more straight spaces or in situations that aren't necessarily outright queer, or I'm surrounded by like good friends and family, even if I go to like a shoot or if I'm working and I'm kind of clocking around, especially actually on like a lot of film sets and things, a lot of the time there won't be other trans people around. Not always are there openly like queer people around either. So in the back of my mind, I'm always, if I'm entering a space and I'm not necessarily like familiar with it, or I'm working, for example, I can't control where I'm going to be working. In the back of my mind, it's always like I'm entering this space as Willow, but not everyone sees me as Willow, they'll go, oh, that's like a trans woman. And I don't go through my life objectifying me as just like a trans woman. There are so many more interesting things about me, like my identity is something that is so important and like intrinsic to me, but it isn't the be all and end all of my existence. So I think when I'm entering spaces where I don't know anybody, that definitely comes to the fore, because it's like I'm not only representing myself, but a lot of other people may have not encountered other trans people before. So yeah, I guess that does sometimes stick in my head, but it isn't something that I necessarily wanted like dwell over, because I don't think that does any benefit to me if I'm controlling how I'm acting, because I should be representing and upholding some sort of image. I understand, especially in the public eye, how that's important, because trans people will just get vilified. If I act out, is that how someone's going to view every trans person? But I tend to just really try and go through my life with a lot of love and light and just, I'm Willow. But it can definitely be pressurizing to have to try and uphold this almost like image. I'm just trying to enter a space and not get misgendered or like dead named.
Be yourself, right, ultimately. Yeah. And it's just, I don't see why people have to apologize to be who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As much as I am always the main character, I think it makes me feel more like the main character when I'm entering spaces and people don't necessarily know how to talk to me or like introduce me. Like I clock it as well. Like people just don't know how to act a lot of the time. And it's like a bit crazy because it's just, you just have to like be respectful, I guess. But some people, it throws some people, and like I clock it, but people's social interactions with me can sometimes be very strange. Which is then why when I meet like amazing people, it just means so much more, because it feels like they've really seen me rather than they've just seen me as a trans person, and now because of that they don't know how to converse with me.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to hear that, obviously, because it's, you know, people don't think about the other experiences when you interact with someone, how maybe, you know, the stereotypes or the different ideas that you have of the people that are in your mind actually do show, and people do pick up on it, and it does affect how they feel. And again, it's just ensuring that, you know, it's not to censorize yourself, but it's just being mindful of other people's experiences, their lives, and who they are, and getting to know someone for who they are rather than your perceptions.
What you're seeing, yeah.
Exactly. And also in terms of beauty standards and fashion industries as well, they're really slowly changing, but we still often see a lot of marginalization to different communities, especially the trans and queer talent as well. What's your, if you don't mind me asking,
no,
like,
of
what
course.
experience of modeling has been like?
Kind of a mix. I think definitely because I started kind of modeling, I was definitely giving, I think it was kind of like giving like my non-binary era. So I don't know, it's been difficult because I've never been signed to an agency. So all of my modeling is, I do it unrepresented, which I love. Like the hustle is real, but part of me does make me think maybe if I didn't transition, or if I was cis, because I'm like, I'm gonna blow my own trumpet, like my runway walk is like 10. I give face, like I can strut down, like I know I'm a fierce model, like boots. I've been booked for some like amazing campaigns, but then part of me does always think maybe if I wasn't trans, would I be signed to an agency? Would it be easier for me to get signed to an agency? Are agencies not signing me because I'm trans? Like, I think especially before there was like kind of a non-binary section within modeling, because I think over the last 5 years that's definitely been pushed a lot more. I think it was borderline maybe a bit easier to be cast because it was less restrictions on how people looked. But now, because of the non-binary kind of opening within the talent sphere, I don't know how pushed it actually is within the world. So people are now very much like limiting like male, female, non-binary, where before potentially it was a bit more fluid based on just someone's own masculinity or femininity. I don't know. Fashion is always a weird one because the industry is crazy, like cutthroat and like borderline mean sometimes. But all of my modeling experiences, I've had some amazing ones. It would just be great to have more regular work and like be booked more, because modeling is something which it was like my first like love and passion, I guess. Like, it was always brings me so much joy just to sit in the chair, get the face beat, gorgeous clothes, and just like strut. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do. So no, I kind of wish there was a lot more spaces for trans women, especially because I feel like when there is space for a trans woman in a show, not including the divas like Alex Consani, because she's like a superstar, but I think a lot of the other opportunities for trans women are strictly limited to like trans only shows. And I think having a constant and a regular change within like the fashion discourse, where every show should have a trans woman of colour in every show. Imagine if that was just the norm. It would really just change cultural ideas of transness, I think, because it's just would be a bit more accessible within the fashion world. So yeah, I think there needs to be a bit more acceptance and just normalization of a lot more diversity within the modeling scene with regards to transness.
Definitely. And you're obviously quite vocal about trans rights in the UK as well. So what do you think some of the most misconceptions and things that people misunderstand about trans identities or trans womanhood specifically?
I think it's crazy right now with the rise of like a lot more transphobia than normal. I mean, even like the other day on the tube, these like two guys were like filming me and my friend, and I was like literally went up to him like, don't film me. But he was sat like kind of borderline next to us on this tube, says nothing after we kind of confront them, and then the minute they get off the tube, they're like filming us again, like gay boy, blah blah. And I think I don't even know what the main misconception of transness is, because it's them just not seeing us as people, as up to their level regardless. But it's I think right now it's the shamelessness of their transphobia. Like, they will do it out in the open. They won't do it directly square up to your face. A lot of the time they will, but a lot of it, especially because of social media, is behind their phone filming you down another end of the platform. It's just odd. It's just strange.
It's also so unnecessary. Like, what do you get from
It's
that?
weird. It's really weird, especially when I've been like in your space on this tube for 20 minutes, then you want to wait until you get off and then you can be vocal about it. It just gives scared. Like, just say you're scared of me and then like move on. Yeah, it's just it's a lot more of like an open disregard for anyone now. Whereas before, I think if it was a bit more like, oh, don't look at the tranny girl. But now it's like people will hide behind their phone and do it in a lot more of an open way. I don't know, it's strange, the difference now and the openness that people think that is just like acceptable, which obviously it just isn't. But I think it's like, sadly, it's linked to the rise of the far right and like media propaganda and shit.
And as you said, a lot of the time it's, scared because they don't understand or they feel threatened. Stuff
Yeah.
that actually it's a lot of internalized issues that maybe people have themselves, rather than actual threats that they might, lack of threats, really, to be honest.
Yeah, and a lack of representation within their own life. They've not seen anybody like me, so they think it's something to like attack. Unfortunately, I think it's a very British ideology. To anything different to you, it's a threat, rather than a lot of other cultures, it's like an embrace and like an understanding of them. But it's a very British colonial thing to do, to want to attack and break down someone that is different to you, or different to being a straight white man, realistically. Whereas in other cultures, it's such like an acceptance and an embracing of someone as an individual and their community, rather than as a direct threat of God knows what. Do you know what I mean?
Completely. I get what you mean.
It's weird. It's very weird.
It is, and I think especially with a lot of, the like Andrew Tate stuff, the far right, the protests, all of the scariness. I think it's, what's scary for me is seeing that it's maybe more people have these kind of ideologies than maybe we initially thought. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I guess I then also am reminded that the UK media loves to promote the idea that there is a massive, they don't even promote it as the danger of the far right, but that's just kind of how it comes across. But there were, I don't even know the numbers fully, but I feel like there were around 100,000 people at the Tommy Robinson march, and Tommy Robinson's there like, yeah, there's like 3 million. But there was only 100,000, maybe, don't clock my figures on this. But then if you look at how many people were at Pride, for example, like the millions of people that turned out for Pride, I mean, there's problems with London Pride, but we can get onto that. But even like trans Pride, like I never see trans Pride documented on the big kind of news outlets like Sky, like BBC, borderline at all. And I've been every year for the past 3-4 years in London, and it's always such a beautiful day. Like trans Pride, I will always go to over London Pride. Like this was my first London Pride, and hiking never again. But trans Pride, I always really make the effort to go, because it's what London Pride should be. Like it's a celebration, and like that hundreds and hundreds of thousands, maybe even 1 million people turn up for trans Pride, and it's definitely a lot smaller than London Pride, but it is the most beautiful day, full of joy, full of activism, full of speeches, way less commercial than London Pride. And it kind of just reminds us what we need to fight for, and the importance of community. And I think news outlets, especially in the UK, will really focus on the right, I think, to really kind of whip up some sort of frenzy. But then they don't show, on the flip side, all of these people that are here celebrating trans rights in the UK, probably equal, if not go above the amount of people that are there at the Tommy Robinson march, but we're not getting as much media coverage. And to me, that just makes no sense, because it seems like the media almost want these far right people to gain attraction and get views. So it's crazy to me.
No, I agree with you, because what I've noticed is when there's story of compassion, hope, solidarity, a lot of media outlets don't see that as a good story.
Yeah.
Which is really alarming, because ultimately it is a great story, because it shows, people being together, everyone's happy. Ultimately, there's so much, hostility and horrible news out there. We do need some lightness and positivity, and that will ultimately spread more of a compassionate outlook. Because if I see that, maybe not specifically me, but if people see that then their neighbours, their societies, their families are welcoming different groups, then they might be more encouraged to do the same, because it's not, as you said, it's shown not as an otherness, but as just a difference that is to be embraced.
So true. I think we're seeing that as well with the rise of Zach Polanski, the Green leader. I'm seeing a lot more, like, he's incredible. Green has surpassed 100,000 members. And I think we're seeing it in the US as well, with Mandani being elected as the mayor of New York. But a lot of these sources I'm seeing on like social media, like TikTok, like it's not UK like media, it's things on TikTok that are being reposted and being shared. That is like the joy and the good news that people like me and like us want to be seeing, but we're not seeing it in the UK media. And then it just kind of links back to the whole, like, the UK media are just complicit in this craziness. It's like they're trying to get reform in when there is so much good happening in the world. And realistically, we do outweigh the racists voting for reform. Like, we just do. The numbers don't lie. We'll see in however long, when the election happens, what the numbers are then. But right now, Greens are on such like an uphill trajectory, and that's such good news. So there is good news out there. It's just a shame that our UK media doesn't really want to promote that in the way they want to promote a lot of the hate that they are.
And with that also, obviously, being creative, being, in the film industry, the modeling and your drag performances as well. What role do you think all those things can play in reshaping how our society understands gender itself?
I think it opens the conversation. If there's more performances and there's more films being made by queer people, trans people, if there's more queer people, trans people being in those roles, it creates conversation, and it just creates more of this neutral acceptance and understanding about queer lives and trans lives. There's too much discourse within kind of film and theatre and TV spaces where stories surrounding trans lives are always so tragic. There's always a death. It's always trying to find this kind of acceptance, which I guess is obviously real life. But if there wants to be a shift within society, I think TV and film should really mirror that. And I think there are some amazing shows which do that. What It Feels Like for a Girl is an example. I watched Joyride last night, this Pakistani film about this trans woman, and that ends in a death and a sadness, and it is kind of a solemn ending. But we need these stories to be seen by the masses, because that really kind of does just allow people just to see trans people for just themselves, rather than a statistic or a threat or something that they should be feared because they're unknown of it. They need to see it, and to see it is to be able to understand it and empathize with someone, even if that isn't someone that you meet in your everyday occurrence. They're people living like real lives. And I'm always going to be like, oh my God, like I'm the main character, like I'm more important than a lot of these people. But realistically, everyone is on the same level. We're all human. We're all trying to figure out this life together. I'm just choosing to live it in the way that I feel necessary for me to be the most happy and like authentic. That isn't something to be judged or shamed. It's something to kind of to be understood if someone doesn't understand it. So yeah, I think a push of trans stories within kind of all media will really just kind of allow more of an understanding and an acceptance, I think. And I think right now the world kind of needs that.
I think that moves me nicely onto the next part of what gives you hope right now within the queer and trans communities as well.
It's so easy as a creative to always look onto the next thing. But I think it's really important to like sit and reflect. Like I need to journal more. Like I'm going to Thailand next month, and I need to be giving journaling, because when I look at my life now compared to my life even 5 years ago is so incomparable. Like I am genuinely right now living the life that younger me could have only dreamed of. Like I've got an amazing queer family. I have worked on some amazing projects, met some amazing people. Like I'm working and doing what I love to do. I'm still broke, but that is besides the point.
We can change that.
We can change that. No, the money will come. But no, I'm doing everything that I wanted to do, and I didn't even understand that I could just live this life. Like I'm so blessed, I'm so lucky. And I think when I really see where I've come from and where I am now and who I'm surrounded by, that gives me joy and hope, because I kind of know that I'm not going through this life like on my own anymore. I've got like such an amazing group of people who all understand the craziness of the creative industries or like gender identity and things. All of my friends understand that in some way, shape or form. So no, I'm very blessed to have the people around me that I do. So I think that's what gives me joy and hope, just seeing like the people around me like happy and thriving.
Well, exactly, because having people that, you know, support you and you support the people is what helps you stand up in difficult times as well. And
Yeah,
not having those individuals is something that, you know, I always my heart goes out to people that don't find the communities or the individuals that support them, because that itself, when you're faced with a lot of, you know, there's always going to be problems with whatever you're facing, is only going to be more difficult for you.
No, I think it's like a necessity. Like I don't know what I would do if I didn't find one, like my queer family in Manchester, and then now my queer family in London. Like if I didn't have that, I would have like really struggled. Like I don't know where I would have been.
And my last question, what would you say to young queer and trans people who are still searching for the courage to express themselves freely?
I would say keep searching, because you can't ever give up on really trying to be the person that you're meant to be. And that day will come. It takes some more than others. Monroe Bergdorf has an amazing quote, and she goes, "It's never too early or too late to be yourself," or something like that. And it really is tea. Like I've always felt, because I've only been transitioning for a year and I came out when I was like 20, I always feel like I'm somehow playing catch up, but there's never a time scale of when you should transition or when you should decide to come out. Like that isn't something you should hold on to. Everyone's on a very different journey, and when you stop comparing yourself to other people and other people's journeys, the weight gets lifted and you end up enjoying your life because you're doing it for you rather than doing it through what you think other people have done. And it's a hard lesson to learn because you see all these kind of amazing like queer women in front of you and trans women, and you're like, oh, I want that, but it isn't something that necessarily happens over time. It's like a breaking down of the patriarchy within you and rebuilding with this gorgeous like transness and energy that comes with time and acceptance and love and friendship. And you need to just insert yourself into these communities and you'll find it, because it's such an open and loving community. And we always need more dolls, Diva, so come in.
I honestly, I always love your energy. You always put like a smile on your face.
Thank you. No, I love the we might regret this brought us together. The
I
VVC
know,
really
right?
us
Who would have
together.
thought? I'm excited to see it when it comes out as well.
I'm so excited to see it.
I'm hoping we can see our characters in the. I hope we don't get
Yeah.
cut, basically.
No, we will see. As long as we catch the wedding dresses, it will be fab.
Well, thank you so much, Willow, for honestly, it's such
Oh, no,
a
you're so
necessary
welcome.
conversation, I think,
Mhm.
for, whether someone is going through a similar process in transitioning, or whether just someone that doesn't know a lot about it and needs to understand more about
Yeah, definitely.
to build solidarity as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.